Have you ever felt like you're running a race where the finish line keeps moving 10 miles further every time you get close? Do you look at the price of a modest home and wonder if you're being pranked by the universe? Is your dream home starting to feel more like a 30-year nightmare that you're forced to sleep in? If you've ever felt like the American dream was written in a language you weren't taught to read, you aren't alone. Imagine you're standing in front of a house that costs $400,000. Most people look at that number and see a home. The bank looks at that number and see a 30-year subscription to your soul. Wait, before you look at the kitchen tiles, look at the math. Did you know that if you buy this house today with a 7% interest rate, you will actually pay the bank over $800,000 by the time you're done? You are buying one house for yourself, and you are buying one house for the bank's CEO. You aren't just a homeowner, you are a high-level donor to a multi-billion-dollar corporation. The average American will spend more on interest than they did on the actual bricks and mortar. You aren't just buying a kitchen and a backyard with a white picket fence. You are buying a second job that lasts 3 decades. It's the only product in the world where you can pay for it for 15 years and the bank still owns more of the dirt than you do. The American dream has been repackaged and sold back to us as a mathematical anchor. Today, I'm going to show you how a normal person can actually buy a home without becoming a permanent resident of the rat race. Let's break the script and talk about how to own your roof without losing your life. Meet Peter and John. Peter is the consumer. Peter's 30. His landlord just raised the rent again, and he is fed up. He's tired of throwing money away on rent, a phrase that is basically the live, laugh, love of bad financial advice. So Peter scrapes together 3% for a down payment. He buys the house. He gets the keys, posts the new chapter photo on Instagram, and feels like a king. For exactly 48 hours. On day 3, the water heater decides to start a swimming pool in his basement. On day 4, he realizes that property taxes aren't just a suggestion. They're a bill that grows every year like a weed you can't kill. Peter is now house poor. He lives in a beautiful home, but he's eating ramen noodles on a folding chair because he can't afford a couch. Peter is trapped. He can't quit the job he hates because the house is a mouth that never stops screaming for more money. Then there's John, the investor. John has the same salary as Peter. But when John's landlord raised the rent, John didn't panic buy a mansion. He stayed in his apartment for 3 more years. He took that mortgage-sized payment and he put it into the market. John was building an engine while Peter was feeding a mouth. 3 years later, the economy hits a bump, as it always does. Peter is losing sleep because his house value dropped and he has 0 savings to fix the roof that just started leaking. John? John is smiling. John uses his investment gains to buy a house with 20% down. His monthly payment is half of Peter's. His house is a tool for his life. Peter's house is a cage for his life. One of them is a homeowner. The other is a glorified tenant for the bank. Which one do you want to be when the water heater inevitably blows? Let's talk about the invisible math of homeownership. We've been lied to. We were told that renting is throwing money away, but nobody mentions that interest is throwing money away too. In the first 10 years of a 30-year mortgage, you are basically just paying the bank for the privilege of standing in your own hallway. Almost none of your payment goes to the house. It goes to the bank's profit margin. You have to understand escape velocity. Your wealth needs to grow faster than your bills, or you are just spinning your tires in the mud. Think of your dollars as a small army of soldiers. When you buy a house with 3% down, you are sending your entire army into a meat grinder. They aren't out there capturing more territory for you. They are just trying to keep the bank from taking your front door. If you're working a minimum wage job in America today, it feels like looking at a travel brochure for Mars. You're told it's impossible, but there is a back door. Here is how a normal person, even on a low income, can actually own the dirt they stand on. Next, the secret weapon of house hacking. If you are on a minimum wage, you cannot afford a traditional home. Your house has to be your business partner. Instead of buying a single-family home, you buy a multifamily property, like a duplex, using an FHA loan. Next, the 3.5% bridge. An FHA loan only requires 3.5% down. On a $200,000 duplex, that's $7,000. I know, $7,000 feels like $1 million when you're making minimum wage. But that is a mountain you can actually climb if you stop the leakage in your budget for 12 months. Next, the tenant pays the mortgage. You live in one unit and you rent out the other. In many parts of the country, the rent from the other unit will cover 70 to 100% of your mortgage. Suddenly, your biggest expense, housing, is gone. You aren't just a homeowner, you are a landlord. And the bank counts that future rental income toward your ability to get the loan. If you want to buy a home the smart way, follow this roadmap. Next, the 20% rule. 3% is a trap. 20% is a shield. It stops private mortgage insurance, which is a fancy term for paying the bank's insurance premium because they don't trust you. It's an extra $200 a month that does nothing for you. It's literally burning cash to stay in a house you don't fully own yet. Next, the 15-year challenge. The bank wants you to take the 30-year loan. They love the 30-year loan. It's their biggest moneymaker. On a 15-year mortgage, you save a literal fortune in interest. It's like a permanent buy one, get one free sale on your own home. Next, the repair buffer. A house is just a pile of bricks that is slowly trying to return to the earth. If you don't have a house emergency fund of at least $10,000, you don't own a house. The house owns you. Without a buffer, a broken furnace isn't just an inconvenience. It's a financial tragedy. Next, the rent-to-own ratio. Do the math. If renting a similar house costs $2,000, but owning it costs $4,000, stay in the rental. Take that extra $2,000 and put it to work. Buy your freedom first. Buy the backyard later. I want to stop here for a second and talk directly to you. If you're listening to this and your bank account is empty, or you're working 2 jobs just to keep the lights on, I know how heavy this feels. It feels like the system wasn't built for you. And honestly, it wasn't. But here's the one thing they can't take from you: your determination. The distance between where you are and where you want to be is just a bridge made of financial literacy and unrelenting hard work. You might have to start smaller than you wanted. You might have to live in a boring apartment for 3 more years while your friends are posting photos of their new front porches. But every dollar you save, every bit of interest you avoid, and every financial book you read is a brick in your own wall. You aren't just saving money, you are saving yourself. Financial literacy is the ultimate equalizer. It takes the power away from the banks and puts it back in your hands. It turns "I can't" into "not yet." Be the person who decided that normal wasn't good enough. Be the person who chose freedom over status. It's going to be hard. It's going to take time. But the moment you hold the keys to a home that you actually own, not one that owns you, it will all be worth it. We are building a community of people who are claiming their lives back. If you're ready to start planting your forest, hit that like button. Share this with someone who needs a reason to keep going. And subscribe to join the movement. Let's stop being consumers and start being owners. Let's claim that freedom together. I'll see you in the next one.